All right. So I'm going to go over how to make a portfolio using Wix, and I'm going to show you from a blank template because I think this will help you just get started understanding the basics. You're welcome to go in sort of any direction that you like, um, but I want to give you just a basic overview and start you off using one of the basic templates. And we're using Wix because it's free and it has a lot of built-in functionality that I think is pretty helpful. On the stock, you'll see I'm asking you to do a couple things, at least 8 images of your work, and you're more than welcome to organize by project type, such as character design, background art, storyboarding, or drawing slash traditional media, digital art, sculpture. I want you to include the work you've done for my class so far, the background concept art. You can also include videos if you'd like and include a short bio, 2 sentences. Don't include your phone number or address. Um, and I would recommend looking at some of these artist portfolios just so you can see how professionals in the field are also doing this. So the first steps are to go to Wix. And when you're there, you'll log in or create a new account. So, for example, when I go to Wix, I'm going to exit out of my other stuff. So if I just go to Wix, Wix.com, and it's I have to log out. So log out, you'll see it. You'll see get started on the top up here. You'll sign up, and then you will log in. So I can have you do this again. I am not a robot. It's true. All right. So it'll show you this page, and you will go to create new site. And there's an important thing on the next page. This is the thing that Wix has changed. Go to create new site. And I want you to go to build with the Wix editor. This has a little bit more functionality for folks who are starting out with designing websites. So build with the Wix editor. And we don't want to use AI for this, set up without the chat. And we are just going to, we can say portfolio here. That's fine. Portfolio and continue. And it's preparing a dashboard. It's going to load. Might take a second. And then what do you want to call your website? I'm going to call this Jacob Rifkin, either my name or dash portfolio, and then continue. And I'm going to turn off this Instagram feed. I don't need this, but I do want to have this portfolio turned on. This is going to help us with a few things. And then say continue, and then you're all set. And continue to dashboard. And then we go to design your website. Don't do the ad project. And we're not going to do a custom domain because that costs money. So I'm going to pick a template. And then I want to go to blank templates over here on the right-hand side. And I'm going to go to the second one here. You can preview what these look like. This one I thought just has some nice basic stuff. So when you go to view, it'll show you what your website will look like. It'll have your name at the top. It'll have a couple of about, gallery, and contact. So some basics just to start us out. Um, and you'll notice that when you click, it'll take you to your image and some details. So I think this one's kind of cool. So I'm going to go to edit this site, and it will link it to the one you're currently working on. And so it's adding a portfolio, which technically it doesn't need because it has the gallery site. That's fine. I'll show you how to get rid of that because it already has the stuff. I don't want to use AI to generate the text. I don't need that. So what you'll notice over here on the side is add elements means if you want to add anything like text or images or buttons to like link to something else. This is our sections, and this is how we can add different sections, which this one already has built in for us. We don't actually need it. This shows our site pages and our menu. So here it's looking at home, about, gallery, contact, and portfolio. We actually won't need the portfolio for this, but we can leave it there for right now. And notice that if I am here and I want to hide something, or say I want to hide this contact page, if I click on it and go hide from menu, it's going to hide it from my top menu here. Click on the three dots and go to show in menu, just to show you that that updates. And then down here, this is going to have a couple of other settings. Media is an important one. And actually, I would suggest doing this first. When you go to media, if you click on it, go to upload your media. And you can link it to Google Drive and things. I'm going to make it easy and go to upload media. And I'm going to upload from my computer. And I'm going to navigate to the folder that I've made before doing this tutorial that has a ton of my images that I want to use for this. You can use GIFs, you can use PNGs, JPEGs, PDFs, not so much, but you'll stick to these images and say open, and it will add some details and my images right here. So they all got stacked in, which is great. And then I don't want to add them to my page yet, but I do just want to have them as part of my files. You can even go in and crop and adjust these as you go. So step one, upload your media. Now, notice that when I try and click on these, they don't actually take me to each page. I need to navigate between pages by going up here and clicking on the drop down, and I'm going to go to my home page first. So up here, you'll see our home page. This is a title, click me to edit me. And so I could go in and say, hi, I'm Jacob and I'm an animator. And I would want to think like, okay, maybe that's on the next line. Maybe I don't need this one. I can press delete, get rid of it. Maybe I don't need this button, but you can keep it for right now, see what you like. But you'll notice that when I scroll down, right, I'm scrolling in here, scrolling in here. This whole thing is a section. A section is a portion of your page. This up here is our header, and this is going to appear on every page. And I know it's going to appear on every page because it's an orange. So when I go to my about, notice that that is also here. What's cool is if I type in Jacob Rifkin, the top here, and I go to my homepage, notice that that is also there now. So I would go down to the footer, notice it's an orange, means it's also going to be there. So double click inside here. I would say 2024 by Jacob, right? And I don't even need by 2024. Just means it's copyrighted. You can change the font style that you like. I'll go into that a little bit later. So right now, I'm just setting up some of the basics of my site, and then you can preview it up here at the top right-hand side. If I press preview, that's going to show me what my site looks like just by default, right? So notice that when I click, it's showing me some templated images in the back, about, and then a gallery page. It takes a second just to load on the preview. This portfolio one is a little bit different, right? This is showing you these sort of projects. We actually don't, we're not going to use this. Gallery, I think, does a lot. And when I click back on Jacob Rifkin at the top, it's going to take me back to the home page. You can also preview it in the mobile. And this is great because this shows you the way that a lot of people are going to look at your page. And you can stylize your page to look different based on if it's a mobile version or a desktop version. So notice that when I click here, it takes me to this single page and I go back, as opposed to when I look at desktop and I'm in the gallery and I click, I can go between each page. So it's a little bit different. So back to editor, and let's start updating some of our images. And I'm going to start with my home page. So back to my home page. And here, notice that I'm inside this main section here. If I go to manage media, that's going to allow me to then select my image and I can replace it with something from my media I already uploaded. So if I go add to page, sweet. And I can give it a title. This one is my Yannick pigeon. And this is from uh, from Beethoven in Beijing. So now when I look at this, that's going to pop up back here, right? So notice you've got a couple of things going on, right? Like maybe you don't need this text at the front. We could put it below. There's a lot of things to like sort of negotiate and change. But now when I go next, or um, if I preview it, and I go next, right, goes to the next image. You could also have your landing page be your gallery page, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to, or maybe I want to change the color of this in the back. So back to editor, maybe I want this text. If I go to edit text, maybe I want the effects and I want a drop shadow so it pops. I could put a color so it's white so it pops a little bit more. You've got a lot of options. Like, maybe I don't need that shadow underneath. Hi, I'm Jacob, an animator. Um, maybe the highlight isn't black, right? You could put a box behind it and have it sort of pop, right? And if I wanted to do something like that, I would go to my add elements, go to box, and you can go to container boxes. I can drag and drop. And this works a lot like Photoshop or Illustrator, where I can send it a range, move backwards, and now it's behind that object. So now it's here. Now it's there. And I could go to change design, customize design, fill color, can make it a little there. I could put on a glass effect. Maybe that's kind of cool. Lower the opacity just so it's a little bit there. Maybe I want to make it corners, make it rounded. Right. So now that's going to have a little bit of rounded to it. And then I could go back to my text here. I don't need this guy, no highlight. Right. So now if I preview it, sweet, pops a little bit more, right? Almost looks like a button. Again, like I'm just showing you some options. If this was mine, I wouldn't have that on there. This is just sort of like an idea for you to consider as you're going. Or maybe you want this whole thing, collect both, click on both, click on both. You can shrink them both down, right click on it, click on both, right? So you can also just delete it, right? And delete this guy if you don't want them. But if I wanted other media on this, manage media, click here, replace image, go here, add to page, click here, replace image, add to page. All right. So now when I go to preview, this will filter between them, which is cool. It's an option. You don't have to have it. You could. Um, it is just an option. Back to editor. You'll notice that there's some buttons here on the side, right? Back to editor. There we go. Some buttons here on the side. Social bar. You could do set social links. And when you click here, notice that it's going to ask you which one you want it to take you to. You could then click on Twitter, take you there. Instagram, take you there. You don't have to have this. You could hide it. You could click on this guy, more actions. You could delete them if you don't want it. Oop. Oh my God. On the social bar, right click on the social bar. You could have just delete if you don't want that there. Now let's talk about the gallery, or actually, let's talk about about. So about, same thing. About, this is where you'd put info about you. On my personal page, I have mine. Mine pops up on the very first page, and I like that. I also have it as a separate one, which is a little bit longer, just as more sort of text. It's important that people know just a little bit about you. Um, so I might type it elsewhere and then I can paste it in. And then you could put either an avatar of yourself, a photo, whatever you'd like there um, for that image. And notice that when I click into here, change background, I can change that to whatever image I want. So it's already set for you, which is cool. That one's pretty straightforward. And again, I can always resize this as I need. Double click into it. I could change the font size, change the type, right? I would just want to be consistent. So then I can look at my gallery. And this is where some of the fun stuff comes in, I think. So here, right, this says gallery in my paragraph. I'd want to put in like, um, if this is uh, sampling. And then I can go to manage media. And here, right now it's set off with these sort of default images. Notice that it has image title, describe your image, use a catchy text to tell the people behind your story. You could just do replace image on all of these. You could also select all and delete, add media, oh, add media image, and then use all of your files. I just held down shift and clicked on the end, add to page, and then done. And now check this out. It's got a full little guy of all your images inside here. So if we preview it, now when we look at this, it'll go through full size. Now, one of the reasons going full size is we haven't written any descriptions. Once we write descriptions, it'll push it over. And we've got a lot of options in terms of how we want to design it. So notice that right now it's showing it as a grid. If I go to switch to mobile, right, a grid, which I don't love that it does this. And one of the cool things about Wix is you can set how you want it to look. So right now I'm going to go back to my desktop, click on this down here, and go to settings. And if you go to layout, this is going to show you some options for how it's going to get laid out. I like either grid on the big page or strip. Um, both of these work pretty well. I'm going to say choose grid for your big page. And then on your mobile page, you can have something different. It doesn't have to be the same. Settings, go to strip. And now it's going to resize all of your images to look like this. And then if you go to settings, you could choose to have it go to expand mode. I'm actually going to have nothing happens. And then design, when you have text, I want it to show the title and the description. And I'm going to have it go underneath, right underneath there. And it's not showing anything yet because I haven't written anything. So watch what happens now, right? Here it looks like this, and here it looks like this. If I go back in, manage media, now when I type in, this is pigeon, I would say this is digital painting 2024. Done. And then manage media. Sorry, let's do it for a couple of them. This is tan done, and this is description, digital painting 2024. Give yourself the medium and the year. So now when I preview this, if I click, shows text for both things. And when I click through, shows us both. Pretty cool. So now if I look at my mobile, shows it a little bit below. Sweet. Go down a little bit below, right? And you can change how much space is between each one. So if I go back to editor now, right, and I click here again, settings, design, text, notice that I can have a little bit, I could change the font size. Maybe I want this to be bold. Maybe I want the settings. Let's see. It might actually not let me, let's see, customize layout. Ah, here we go. The amount of spacing between each one. That's sort of what it's going to let you do. It's not going to let you do a ton of different stuff. Um, but you'll see that settings, sorry, design, I could have it go to the right, which I don't think looks good, right? Especially on this is mobile. You could have it above, but I think underneath looks good. You could also just have the title or just the description, right? So you got a couple of options. If I go back to the desktop version, when I click here, settings, if I go to settings, right, open and expand mode, it's going to look where it's going to have the text, right? That would be on the image itself. So you could actually have it title and description. You could have it show up below underneath as well. It's up to you. Again, this is good. This part's going to be personal preference for how you would like it to look. Um, you could have it um, when you go to layout, customize layout. Do you want your thumbnails to be 16 by 9, 4 by 3, 1 by 1? I would do 16 by 9. I think that would look best. You could change the amount of images per row. And I think that looks a little bit better. There's spacing. So there are some settings you could do. Scroll direction is vertical, right? So now if I go preview, I think that looks a little bit better. It just has a little bit more charisma to it. And so now when you click on it, right, it goes full. And you can press X or escape to get out. So back to editor. So now when we're looking at this, right, I've got this portfolio one. If I want to hide a menu item, come back here, and I'm just going to go hide from menu on the three dots. Now it's gone. And if I look at site menu, you can also add a page. So say, for example, you only wanted some of these, like you wanted this whole thing to be my background art or concept art, right? And you're looking at this and you're like, actually, this one, right? Right now it's called gallery. Let's call this one rename concept art and say I want a character design one. I can duplicate this whole thing. I just want to duplicate this page and call this one character design. Done. And then I would go back in. And so right now I'm on the character design one. And I would look at my portfolio, manage media. In this one, I would deselect, oop, Command Z. Let's see. So I'm going to, this is my character design. So I'm going to get rid of this one, delete it out, delete it out, delete it out, delete it out. And let's delete you out. I'm just, not exactly character design, but that's fine. So now these ones, this gallery only has these images. And then I can go back to concept art, the top here, concept art, and adapt this one, manage media. So I get rid of these. those ones. And delete. It's not deleting them from everything, it's just deleting them from the gallery. So now it'll only show those ones. So again, if I go to preview, all right, so you can see how this is starting to work. Go back to editor. And last page to look at is contact art or contact. And I always go to like try and click on that. Let's go to contact. And here, this is where you'd want to update it. And like I you could decide to do contact here. You don't have to. Like, I might actually say just like hide this page. There is a way to do the form. For y'all, don't worry about it. So again, go to pages and menu to hide this page. Just go hide from menu. And then you're left with home, about, concept art, and character design. Last thing I want to show is, say, for example, right? You want your homepage to be concept art or character design, right? You want your audience to like land immediately into your stuff. So you could also, pages and menu, I could make my concept art, if that's like the thing I'm most excited about, I'm going to set this as my homepage. And then I'm going to hide my homepage, hide from menu. So now I've just got concept art, character design. So when someone goes to your page, if they go to concept art, or if I look at, let's see, preview, right, right, character design, concept art, when they go, this would be your homepage. So back to editor. And in that case, I would say like, I would put sort of how I do mine. Like my projects page has a lot of this stuff, launches people into it. Right. And you can always stretch this out if you want to, like that. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of centered text. I think it's a little bit more difficult to read. Let's get that to actually align. There we go. Get this one to stretch out. Close enough. All right. So you got some options. Lastly, when you are working with site design, you can say sort of what you want either your color theme to look like. So you could say your base. Right now, my base colors are black and white. My accent colors, like my link color, right? I could set it to be pink. Go on some advanced settings. You could change what your text looks like. Let's see, titles. If I click here, that sort of color. So again, that's my main color. So you've got a lot of option once you start dividing into it, right? Right now, my background color is white or black. If it's black, you can't see anything. I'd have to change everything else. I go back here, right? This is my color themes. And if I go to my, let's see, site design, text theme. So you can change the type of font that you're using. So customize heading styles right now. Everything is based on Helvetica Bold, but if I wanted everything to be impact, I could do that. This is an easy way to change it and say I want everything to be this Josephine's light, or that's too, there we go. Right. And like, I don't know if that necessarily works. Maybe that's a little bit better. That looks good for the concept art. So I would, rather than changing the exact styles, leave those the same, just change the font if you see something that you are more into. So you see that you've got like a lot of options. And it starts looking less defaulty and more like something individual. Last thing is, if, for example, you want to do something like have on your homepage. So I go back to my homepage, and I'm going to set this homepage to be my homepage again. Let's set as homepage and let's show in menu. So it's there. If I wanted these images to link, so if I go to manage media, right now, these are, these could link. So say I wanted this one to go to my concept art. I could choose concept art and say done and done. And instead of opening as like a new image, I go to settings and I go to settings here. When I click on the image, a link opens. So now if I go to preview, when I click here, notice that that one doesn't allow me to click. Notice if I click here, it'll take me to the concept art. So you have to actually set it to go to the concept art. So again, let's do this one more time. Back to editor. Let's go to my homepage. And I'm going to get rid of this contact button. I don't need it. I don't like it there. I would go to manage media, or yeah, go to manage media, because then this one is going to go to my character design one. I scroll down, go to the link, page, concept art, or sorry, character design. Say done. And so this one, maybe this is the title for this one is character design. And the title for this one is actually going to be concept art. Say done. And then if I go to settings, my layout, the slideshow is there. I want to, they're sliding automatically. Maybe I do a little bit more time between that. Pauses on the hover. I maybe need to actually show the title on this. So if we look right now, it's showing the title. Yeah, for some reason, this one, when it's doing the settings and you go to layout and you want the slideshow, it doesn't like to show the text underneath. Yeah, I don't know why that guy doesn't want to show it. So if you want, you would actually have to have that on the image itself, the text on the image itself. Or if you do strip, this is where it might be a little bit more interesting. If you go to settings, a link opens, design, text, right? Now you've got this text on it, on the image, which looks a little bit better, right? I don't know why that's not there. So if what happens to the info and hover, it appears title, style, and cuss. So you can say where you want it to go, what size, so you can make it a little bit bigger. So that looks kind of cool. Making it, that's way too big. It's way too big. Style. X out of that. It's going in text horizontal padding. I want that to go over some more. Cool. Let's go back up. So item style. I don't need to do that. So now when we do this, the only thing that I would say with this though is layout, settings, design. I might want to affect how big these are. So these are just, because they're just like kind of large, advanced. Maybe it's in layout, customize layout. I mean, it works for what it is. Go with it. So now preview, right? Character design, scrolling down. That one didn't have it. So now click on it, takes you character design. That was a little bit roundabout. All right. Last step is publish and it'll go live. It'll ask you, what do you want your site to be? View site. Um, you will notice that right now it has at the top home, about, concept art, home, right? Concept art, character design, and it's taking up the full width. In class, I can show you other ways of getting around that. But if you click here, digital painting, done, done, looks pretty good. You can use the arrows to navigate. and it's showing you to say done, complete setup. There you go. So now you've got it ready to go, and you would share that site. So if you go to your pages here, go to this one, loading your dashboard. And so now you can see if you don't see it there, go to the home and then you can go to this here and it'll actually show you. Right now it did that as its title. Um, if you go to edit site, that's where you'll be able to edit your site. That always takes a little while to try and figure out like where that thing actually is. And under settings, you can look at site password if you needed that, or if you go to site, let's look at one thing. You can go to view site on mobile, site history if you need to go back. You can always move the site to the trash. If you go to my dashboard, this has some details on settings, where website settings. And so this is your site's name. So Jacob Rifkin. I don't know why I did that. Portfolio. And you could change your address here. So Jacob Rifkin. Port. You can change your favorite icon, the little icon that's there. Oh, unless you pay, you won't be able to do that. But now, there you go. Why is that? Oh, it's too long. That's why Jacob Rifkin. There we go. And then you go to save. So if you change the actual website name, you need to actually look at it. So then let's go to home and then view live site. There you go. That's what you would submit. All right. There should be enough to get you started. There's a lot more, obviously, but like just as a few ways or a few things for you to look at. I think it could be cool.